So Jeepers Creepers is a... Oh shit. Jeepers Creepers has been one of those horror franchises that's been on my mind a lot recently that I did want to watch. Unfortunately though, the only one that's on Netflix is Jeepers Creepers 3, and who's going to start a franchise on the last and most recent installment when I have to watch the first two. But this morning I finally got around to watching it and I was pleasantly surprised. From literally the start of this movie, I was absolutely hooked. When you see two people just driving down the street together and all of a sudden a big monster of a car comes there and he's threatening them, bashed into the back of him for absolutely no reason, and he's just being an absolute asshole for no reason whatsoever. From that exact moment, I was absolutely hooked. I wanted to see what was going to happen. Who was the kind of monster? What was it? Was it a monster? Was it just a person? Because I knew nothing about it, so I was hooked from the very first moment. But after they drive and the big monster truck goes bombing down the road, and then you kind of catch up with him a good bit later, he's outside some church and he's putting some white cloth tied a rope with red stains on it down a pipe, and I was like, what the hell is happening here? I really had no idea. And the fact that then the creeper sees them, he gets in his car and he's just bashing into the back of them. They pull over and then they go, okay, you know what, we should go back and see what the hell was that. And when he said that, I was like, no, you really shouldn't do that. It's, you know, this is kind of horror movie 101. And then his sister even says that a little bit later on in the movie. She goes, no, that's, if you watch a horror movie, this always happens. You shouldn't do that. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of true. You shouldn't do that. But of course, they do it. And then once they get to the pipe, he's dangling down, looking in to try and see something, because they had a feeling a body was thrown down there, and he starts thinking he heard someone calling him, and Ratcombe, his sister, accidentally drops him, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is happening here? Because honestly, I really had no idea what was going to happen. And then once he sees the body, and the body says, you see the arm grab him, then he opens his body and you see like the body in there has got a big cut up scar, and it just looked brutal, because it just looked like the guy just chopped him up and then just stitched them back together, because for whatever reason. And then you see him making his way through it, and I just looked, I'm like, holy shit. The whole walls, the whole roofs were just covered with bodies, and it was disgusting. I was like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely horrible to watch. And then they get out, of course, and they make their way back to some bar, and you see the creeper driving down, and it's just that car itself I just thought was ridiculously intimidating. Now, as I said, it's my first time seeing it, so I haven't seen 2 or 3, but I hope and imagine that car doesn't make an appearance in 2 and 3, because I think it just works so well. So I hope it does make an appearance in the later movies, because it just feels like, it kind of feels like a bit like, to me now at this stage I've only seen the first one, but it feels like, say, Ghost Rider and his motorcycle. You kind of have to have the two of them together, and I just feel like the creeper just works so well with this car, because it's just such a big, demanding, creepy car. I just think it works so well with that car. But then when they get back to the when they're in this diner, they're going ballistic. Everyone's like, what the hell is wrong with them, for fair reason. And then you get some mysterious phone call, and when the phone rang and it was just exposition, I was like, oh Jesus, come on, this just feels like a weak way of letting us know what's happening. But then later on in the movie, it is kind of explained why she knows all this, and it helps it a bit, because it's not just, oh yeah, I've just thought I could help you. The fact that the woman who does call them can see into the future, again, it feels like a cheap way of explaining it, but again, it does work for that element. The fact that she does have that somewhat of a power to be able to do that, rather than her just assuming this is what it all works. So it does work in the way that she is able to see in the future, so it's not just out of nowhere. So it is an exposition dump, but it kind of works with the story, so I do kind of let it away with that for that very reason. Then it's revealed that the creeper, once he smells something, he's hooked on that, and he does not let it go whatsoever. And then there's a song you gotta watch out for, which is it's I can't even remember, it's like Jeepers Creepers, you gotta watch out for those peepers. And it's a creepy little jingle. It's not creepy, but when you put it with this kind of creeper, it is a bit of a creepy jingle. But then you find out the creeper was actually in the car. He sniffed all their clothes. Now he's got their scent, and he wants their scent. So as they make their way back with 2 guards back to where the pipes were, to show them all the body, to show them what was happening, they're driving there, and all of a sudden, bang, the creeper lands on the car of a guard. He rips one of the cops out, and then he pulls the other one out, and he chops off their head, and he throws it, and then both of the trucks just fall, because he throws the head on the top of the car of our 2 main protagonists. And then once the cars crash, of course, our protagonists get out of the car and they're like, geez, are you guys okay? Because their car spun, leading our cars to spun. They're like, okay, what happened here? They go over to see. All of a sudden, they notice the head in the ground and they notice the door opening. They're like, what the fuck is this? The creeper steps out of the car, picks up the head, rips off the cop's head that he chopped off. His tongue rips it directly out of his mouth. I was like, what the fuck is this? And at this stage, we still haven't seen his body. We see a silhouette. So they get in the car and they get the hell out of there. They go into this place where this old woman and a bunch of cats live. They actually use her phone to call. And at this point, I thought this woman was the woman who told them of the future. I thought that was her. And then that creeper comes in. She goes, "Okay, you two, who's your friend?" They turn around. The creeper standing there. Still, remember at this point, we still only see his silhouette, and then he ends up. The woman comes out with a shotgun. I was like, oh, okay, so this little old woman comes out with a shotgun, shoots at him, and then the creeper goes in the house because he leaps up in the air, lands in the house. She goes in. You hear two gunshots, and then you see her standing there. But then it's like she walks forward, and you see actually the creeper is holding her up, and then we get the face reveals the creeper, and I was like, what the fuck? I really wasn't expecting. Like at first, he looked a bit like a fish kind of monster, fish goblin monster, and then of course our heroes do run, and then he stands. They get in their car, and he stands in the middle of the road. They ram at him. He jumps in their hood and then runs over the car. And then she does it again. She goes back. He jumps in the back and it runs over the car. And then she actually gets him one time, and she just keeps going back and forth at least 4 or 5 times. He tells her to stop. At that point, I was like, yeah, you know what? It makes sense that you keep rolling over him because of everything he's doing. He's chasing you. You just keep rolling over him as many times as you want. But then me watching the movie and me knowing that there's 100% chance he's not dead. There's no way in hell he's dead. All of a sudden his body starts to shake, and I was like, what the fuck is happening here? I thought because his leg was kind of squished, I thought his legs and all his body was kind of regenerating, popping back into place, and all of a sudden a big bat wing pops up, and I was like, what the hell is this thing? Because honestly, I had no idea what he looked like. I was kind of under the impression it was just a man who goes around hunting people, but he just looks horrible looking, and I was like, okay. And then, but at this point, they roll over one more time, and they get the hell out of there and make their way over to the guard station. They're sitting there. They call their mother, and then the woman comes out of nowhere, and she comes, oh, I'm the woman. She starts telling them about the future, and she goes, one of you isn't going to survive. And then you see the creeper pulling up with his truck. I can't say enough. I love that truck. I think that truck is just so menacing looking. And then they break into the prison, and you see the creeper is in one of the cells eating some, ripping him apart. You see his leg has been chopped off, because we find that the creeper eats parts of bodies that he needs. So he would eat, say, eyes to make me able to see. He eats the tongue so he's able to talk. He eats the leg. He just does all this kind of stuff to just be able to keep his body in check. So we see that he's eating that man's legs. So he's now able to walk. And then a big kind of fight scene happens within the prison, if you want to call it prison, and he actually gets our main lead in the name of Dari, I think his name was. He takes Dari, he's got him in a headlock, and he flies out the window, being able to take him. And I was like, okay, there's no way he's gonna survive. He's dead now. But I thought it was gonna be an open ended, like, oh, maybe he could survive, but maybe not. But then we quickly I'm assuming it's a little skip of a couple of days. We're in the middle of some God knows where, some abandoned factory, because we find out earlier in the movie that the creeper has burnt down the church down, so that whole place is gone. We're in some factory, we're zooming in, it's clearly an abandoned factory for years. We see the back of the creeper, he's doing something. And then we zoom over, we see the belly button and little rose tattoos, so we know who it is, and it zooms up, and we see his brain's gone, as well as his eyes have been ripped straight from his head, and the creeper just looks straight through his eyelid, and it was creepy. It worked so well. I think this horror icon is just so creepy. I've actually already ordered the pop vinyl for the creeper because he just looks so menacing. I've also already ordered the Blu-ray, which actually comes out on the 12th, so that is Monday. So I'll be having the Blu-ray of that as well, because I really enjoyed this movie. Honestly, I wasn't really expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, just because there's only 3 movies. I thought, okay, maybe it isn't as successful, and as well, I actually really haven't heard about it. I've seen 3C Films, he put out a kind of something a couple of months ago talking about why the 4th movie is never going to happen, and I just assumed that we were never going to get anything, so I never thought I'd actually watch it. But it's been on my mind lately to watch it, and I'm after watching the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one. I'm glad I did watch it, so I'm going to watch Jeepers Creepers 2 in the next day or so. Hopefully that is just as good. I know nothing about that one either, so that'll be in the next couple of days. I'm looking forward to watching that one. So if you want to hear my thoughts on Jeepers Creepers 2 in the next couple of days or so, I'll be watching that one, and once I watch that one, I'll be doing Jeepers Creepers 3, because that's on Netflix, and that's just easier to watch that one. So if you want to hear my thoughts on both Jeepers Creepers 2 and Jeepers Creepers 3, make sure you click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.